Good morning, guys. The TCG has a new ban list. Obviously, you might have already seen that. I'm a bit late to the party when it comes to the reaction video, but you can also see this here on Master Duel Meta. We want to quickly talk about this, as this is also not very uninteresting for us. Obviously, this is not our ban list, but it shows how Konami wants to address certain things, wants to address the current meta, and obviously the current meta over in the TCG is a very Snake Eyes dominant meta, where in the OCG, Fire King was the more dominant deck. In the TCG, Snake Eyes Pure was the more dominant deck, which is also the most dominant deck that we have at the current moment. So it's very interesting in seeing what happens here. So we can see at the top here that all the forbidden changes are definitely aimed at Snake Eyes. The interesting thing is that it's more aimed at pure Snake Eyes, right? I mean, there's also this Fire King stuff here that gets hit by the Linkuriboh. Also, Fire King once is Linkuriboh, obviously, and without the Linkuriboh, some of the nice lines that you can do are not easy to make anymore, unfortunately. Especially one line that I was playing all the time needs the Linkuriboh from the grave to be resummoned in order to work. But that's not the biggest thing. You can just play an Anima if you want to get your Poplar into the grave. You know the drill from Master Duel. You go Poplar and then go Linkuriboh to get the Poplar to the grave, so that the Poplar can reset itself in the spell trap zone. And obviously Summon Limit, which here in Master Duel it's not a big thing because we don't have a side deck, but you have to understand that basically every deck was running Summon Limit, especially against the fire decks, but also the fire decks were playing Summon Limit, and I, in my Voice Ritual deck, was also playing a Summon Limit. So a very strong card against fire, but also used by fire a lot. And then we have Warlord, Savage Dragon, and Baron de Fleur, which obviously are the end boss monsters for Snake Eyes. Very interesting that they decide to not hit any of the engine part. No Wanteds, no Snake Eyes Ash, no Diabellstar or whatever, but they are hitting a general boss monsters, which obviously hurts a lot of decks. Baron is a card played in a lot of decks, Warlord not as much, but also a very, very generic one. So obviously in the TCG, the pure Snake Eyes dead is definitely dead. The pure Snake Eyes deck is definitely not dead, but seems to be the case that Fire King will now be the most dominant variant, the better one, because they have basically got no hits besides the Linkuriboh. A lot of people were talking about hitting Linkuriboh. Could be also very interesting for us in Master Duel. As you can see, the forbidden ones are mostly ultra rare, so bring that up. Ultra rare crafting points back for us, right? And then if you're not aware, the Protoss comes back to the format, which we don't really we have him already. We have him at unlimited, actually. So TCG had him forbidden, also the Thunder Dragon Colossus, which is like a lock card, like you can't add cards to your hand while this is on the field. So a few locks coming back and some floodgates, anti-spell at 1, summon limit at 0 are being forbidden. So you might think of this list what you want, but I would definitely have expected a different list. We see stuff like the Magispector Unicorn Kirin coming back, which is new. Magispector support was coming to the TCG with the latest set. It's already there, and a lot of people were wondering why a Magispector Unicorn Kirin wasn't coming back from the list to make this deck viable again. And then you can also see they have semi-limited the Delicious Memory, so every format is now once again able to play Purrely. We are once again able to play it because we have the Sleepy Memory Cat now, and the TCG now had this at 2, which obviously it's actually nicer to get, in my opinion, the Delicious Memory Cat onto the field than it is to get the Sleepy Memory Cat onto the field. So having this at 3, so if you have both at 3, Delicious and Sleepy, then I would probably just go for Delicious, honestly. But Sleepy is also very strong. Also, any bonus copy of a quick play spell makes the deck better, because your Purrely little cat can then obviously more successfully find these copies. And then we have some stuff here, the Malicious 2/3, which I think is not that important. I think you would probably still play 2, might play 3, but 2 are definitely fine because you only need 2, I guess. It's like with Parallel Exceed, right? You can make the Parallel Exceed more reliable in adding 3, but it still works with 2. It's the same with the Malicious here. Then we have stuff like the Harp Horror, Terror Top, and like Skystrucker Mobilize Engage coming back. All these hits that I always talk about and I find quite nice because they just release cards from the ban contenders that are not that impactful right now. There was this funny version with Snake Eyes and Sky Striker that I played against on a regional tournament, which was quite funny. And then stuff like they have been unbanning these Dragon Ruler cards for a while now. And safe to say that them coming back doesn't really make a difference. They had Chicken Game Forbidden, which, yeah, obviously this is a nice field spell, but like not the biggest thing that there is. But yeah, that is the list from the TC. Definitely not what a lot of people were expecting. A lot of people were expecting Snake Eyes Ash to go to 1 or the Wanted to be semi-limited. Good for me, I have triple Wanted still, and the price for Wanted is once again going up. So this is once again something for your Master Duel players. I know that a lot of people are not happy with the economics of Master Duel, but if you play the paper game, then you can only be happy with the economics of Master Duel. The game is basically for free, and the paper game is very, very expensive, especially if you want to play the top meta contender. Speaking about the top from the top meta contender, as I already said, Fire King will probably now be the most dominant one. This is obviously Snake Eyes combined with the Fire King. You can combine this because you have the legendary Fire King Ponix. It's a level 1, so there's your combination accessibility with the Snake Eyes engine. I talk about this because obviously this is something that will come to Master Duel and will probably be dominant when it comes, depending on what they do to Snake Eyes before that. In my personal opinion, we already know that the Salamangreat stuff is coming in the next pack come May. I personally think that we will probably get the Fire King stuff there also. This is my take, just because the Salamangreat stuff is fire, and they seem to do these thematic selection packs where, like, it's called surprise from the underground, and then you have fiends in there, or you go like blazing flame and then there's fire in there. It seems to be the case that Konami tends to do these things, so we might see the Fire King engine coming to us with the next pack here, and then Fire King will definitely be dominant. My favorite deck, I love the deck, it's so cool. I love Garunix, which you can't see it right now, but I have Garunix in my background as a poster. I just love the Ponix. These are just, I really love the cards. Let me know in the comments what you think of the artwork of these cards, because I had so much discussion with people. For example, a lot of my friends just hate Fire King Avatar, which I think this is just, I love this design. I think it's amazing. Let me know what you think, or Garunix. Though a lot of people were fond of Garunix. A lot of people didn't like the Avatar, but Garunix and the Ponix, I just love these artworks here. They are just so cool. So yeah, we'll be the most dominant contender in the TCG probably with this ban list here. We have to find some new lines, but there are already lines without the Linkuriboh, but we will have to find some new lines that play around different hand traps. With the forbidden status of the Linkuriboh. But all in all, not the biggest fire hit list that we have seen here. That was definitely harder in the OCG, but also in the OCG, the Fire King, we can quickly take a look at the OCG. The fire decks are still, there's a new meta report. Interesting. I have not watched this actually. You can see Jubel coming up here, but you can still see there's Fire King, there's Snake Eyes, there are all the old contenders, Tempai Dragon, Jubel. It's all still there. Voiceless Voice, which is the virtual deck that we will also get. I guess not quite soon, but we will get it, and it's also a really, really fun one. I'm playing this in the TCG at the moment, but yeah, this is how it looks like over in the TCG, and what has been hit there. We have the hits for Snake Eye Ash, we have the Kirin hits here for the Fire King stuff, and then looking over Pure Snake Eyes, we have Wanted at 1, which actually these hits are quite impactful and quite big, but you can still see the deck being able to be played. You can see they have Chicken Game in here as a replacement, I guess, for just drawing cards. Chicken Game not being in the Fire King, because obviously if you have your Fire King Island on the field, which is your Fire King field spell, and then you replace this with Chicken Game, then the Fire King Island, if you're not aware, this field spell, if it leaves the field, will destroy all of your monsters, so you can't really replace it like you can replace the Temple here. But yeah, that's all for now for this list. My reaction to this. I personally don't hate the list. I would have expected some greater hits. From my personal how do you say portemonnaie in English? My wallet. Yeah, that was the word for my wallet. This is a quite nice banlist because I still have my very expensive cards that are now still are expensive. So having the wanted hit would definitely been bad for me, but it's not the case. So I'm quite happy. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you even playing the TCG? Let me know. You Master Duel players who are seeing this, are you also playing the TCG? What deck are you playing and how do you think about these two formats? Let me know in the comments, guys. We will see each other later on in the day with more videos, and until then, have a great one. Bye.